There was a time when the red of Manchester was not only colour, but destiny. A time when every game at Old Trafford seemed inevitable, like a divine decree. Sir Alex Ferguson raised the club to the condition of world football monarchy. A dynasty built with discipline, fear and glory in equal proportion. United didn't just win matches, they won entire seasons. Rivals bowed even before the initial whistle. The theatre of dreams was, for many, the theatre of nightmares. And in the centre, a ruthless leader, with a cold look and a voice that burned like steel. For decades, the Red Empire seemed untouchable. Ferguson was the architect of eternity. But empires don't die from the outside in. They are silently corroded, in the flesh itself. United would be no exception. What began as glory would end as ruin. The dynasty would fall, not with one blow, but with 1,000 cuts. Every wrong decision, every accumulated debt, every shadow ignored. Until greatness became just memory. And memory, an unbearable weight. The fans still sang, but it already sounded like regret. Because every empire carries, hidden, the germ of destruction. United's story is not just about victories. It's about betrayals, greed and decadence. The dark side of greatness. The dark side of hope. The destruction didn't come from outside. She was born in the heart of Manchester. Between broken promises and sold dreams. The club that said it was eternal began to die. Slowly, cruelly, like an incurable disease. And no one could stop the inevitable. Not even the gods who once wore red. Cantona, Giggs, Scholes Beckham. Their names still echo, but their glories are not enough. The present is a ghost that haunts the past. The stadium breathes history, but bleeds mediocrity. The spotlights illuminate, but also reveal the decadence. The United is a body on display, in a slow autopsy. Each defeat is one more knife. Every failure is a new scar. The club didn't just fall. He was consumed. Devoured by greed, by incompetence, by shadows. The beginning of the fall was not an accident. It was a poorly protected legacy. The empire was doomed at the time Ferguson left. And no one noticed the magnitude of the emptiness. Until it was too late. United didn't fall suddenly. He began to rot in silence. And so begins the dark side of destruction. If you're enjoying this dark story, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more hidden truths from football's shadow side. When Ferguson announced his departure, football froze. The king abdicated the throne, and no one seemed ready. He left behind not only titles. He left a shadow impossible to occupy. United did not prepare for the succession. There was no plan, there was no structure. Only the belief that eternity would sustain itself. And the void opened like an abyss. David Moyes was the chosen one. Ferguson's trusted man. But trust is not a legacy. Moyes didn't inherit a throne. He inherited a curse. The cast, accustomed to Ferguson's tyranny, did not respect his fragility. The authority was lost in the first training. And the glory dissolved into ridicule. The champion of the previous season became a spectre. The defeats have accumulated. The fear has disappeared. United is no longer feared. Rivals who used to tremble now smiled. The Teatro dos Sonhos became the stage of humiliation. Every game felt like a funeral. Moyes did not survive the weight of the throne. It lasted months, not years. He was devoured by the same system that invited him. Ferguson's void would not be filled so soon. Neither by Moyes, nor by Van Gaal, nor by Mourinho. United was starting to turn into a joke. The giant didn't impose more respect. And the fall wasn't just technical. It was spiritual. The club that believed to be eternal tasted the taste of irrelevance. Each new technician was a patch in a rotten wound. And the wound grew, throbbed, smelled of blood. The emptiness became permanent. Ferguson left no successor. He left orphans. He left an empire without a king. And every empire without a king is lost in civil war. United fought with himself. Players without identity. Leaders without vision. Hopeless men. The void was not only technical. It was existential. Who was Manchester United without Ferguson? The answer was simple. A glorious corpse. And corpses don't come back to life. But the emptiness doesn't explain everything. Behind the fall there were invisible hands. Hands that didn't hold balls, but ciphers. Hands that didn't build glories, but debts. The Glazers bought United like someone who buys a casino. Not for the love of the game, but for the smell of money. The club was in debt to the bone. Each victory turned into dividends. Every defeat in accounting excuses. The fans saw the club's shield turn into a corporate logo. Red was no longer blood. It was profit. The scream from the stands was no longer heard in Manchester, but in the Wall Street rooms. United is no longer a club. It became a company. Players became active. Fans, consumers. Passion has been replaced by marketing. And the pride in empty slogans. The Glazer family drained the club like parasites. Millionaire dividends, while the team sank. Investment promises, while the stadium rotted. The theater of dreams became a ruin. Leaks, broken chairs, neglect. Visible symbols of an invisible rot. United was being looted. An empire bleeding inside. There was no more love, only business. There were no more plans, just exploration. The fans' protest exploded in green and gold. But against capital, voices become whispers. Power is not shaken with grandstand corners. The club no longer belonged to the people. It belonged to shareholders. And shareholders don't care about defeats. They care about balance sheets. As debt grew, profits also grew. United's blood was converted into gold for a few. The scream of the fans was converted into complicit silence. The Glazer family did not destroy United by accident. It was by design. Each year of decay was a year of profit. Every sporting failure was irrelevant. The club no longer lived to win. I lived to pay dividends. United no longer belonged to Manchester. It belonged to a bank account. And that was the darkest blow. The real destruction began on the day of purchase. After Moyes' failure, came the attempt at redemption. Louis van Gaal, the Dutch teacher, master of control. I brought discipline, I brought promises of order. But his rigidity did not match the shadow of chaos. The cast didn't breathe football, it breathed fear. The brightness of the days of glory did not return. The victories were slow, dragged, soulless. United football has lost its essence. The attack turned into bureaucracy. The tradition became a memory. Van Gaal won a cup, but lost respect. His philosophy was too cold for a club in agony. It was discarded as another flawed patch. The Red Throne burned those who dared to sit. And then came Jose Mourinho, the self-proclaimed special one. He had charisma, had arrogance, had a history of victories. But I had no patience. Mourinho's United was functional, but empty. He won smaller trophies, but never the soul of the club. The locker room turned into a battlefield. Humiliated players, destroyed idols. Pogba, once a golden promise, became a prisoner of intrigues. Football was war, and Mourinho lost. It came out as it entered, wrapped in controversy. Another open wound on United's corpse. Then, the romanticism of Solskjaer. A hero of the past, trying to rescue the lost spirit. For a moment, the illusion was reborn. Old songs echoed in hope. But hope doesn't win titles. And Ole's fragility was soon exposed. Suffered beatings, public humiliations. The hero became a weight. The legend became a joke. Each coach was swallowed up by the same abyss. None of them resisted. None brought salvation. The Red Throne didn't crown, it burned. The coach's dance became a grotesque show. Each new face brought promises. Each exit carried ashes. United didn't seek identity. I was looking for quick solutions. But the emptiness was too deep. The empire didn't need patches. I needed resurrection. And resurrections don't come in a hurry. They come with blood, pain, and sacrifice. Things that United no longer had. If you're enjoying this dark story, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more hidden truths from football's shadow side. United has always been synonymous with stars. of promises that turned into legends. But in the era of destruction, promises became weight. Players hired at the price of gold turned into ghosts. Angel Di Maria, a shining star, lasted only one season. Your magic was lost on cold nights in Manchester. He left hating the club he should one day love. Alexis Sanchez arrived as a savior. He received absurd salaries. But his shine disappeared the moment he put on the red. It was shadow, it was empty, it was failure. Paul Pogba, the prodigal son, returned as king. But he found a shattered throne. His genius was lost between injuries and internal disputes. Pogba was never a legend. It was a symbol of decadence. Each millionaire hiring was another wound. Harry Maguire, the most expensive defender in history. A captain without leadership, constant target of ridicule. The weight of the armband became a burden. And Maguire became a worldwide joke. The United Shield was used as a weapon against him. Sancho, promising, went missing. Lukaku, bought as a scorer, sold as a failure. Every promise was swallowed by the abyss. The red didn't rise anymore. Destroyed. The shirt that used to be a crown was now a curse. Players arrived as idols. They came out like specters. United didn't build careers. Ruined. And the list grew, ruthless. Depay, Schweinsteiger, Falcao, Mata, so many names. All erased by the shadow. The club didn't just fall. He dragged along those who dared to wear his mantle. Each burnt promise was another brick in ruin. Another echo in the darkness. United has become a career cemetery. Where dreams went to die. Where talents were swallowed. Where the weight of tradition turned into sentence. There was no salvation for those who wore red. Just suffering. Just silence. Only destruction. The shirt still shone on the outside. But inside it was pure poison. The symbol of the empire had turned into a curse. Old Trafford, the theater of dreams. Stage of glories, of eternal memories. Where legends were forged and myths were born. But even the sacred temples can rot. The United Stadium began to show cracks. Literally. Leaks, broken chairs, weakened structure. The sanctuary turned into ruin. Symbol of the owner's negligence. Symbol of the club's decadence. While the rivals modernized arenas, United watched his temple turn into a cave. The walls still echoed stories. But they were old stories. The present was mold and abandonment. The theater of dreams became a theater of lies. The stands vibrated, but the ceiling dripped. The spotlights were shining, but the shadows were growing. Old Trafford was no longer pride. It was a shame. Each crack was a metaphor. Each infiltration was a symbol. The club collapsed inside. And no one did anything. The money that could save the stadium was going to dividends. The love that could restore the temple was for slogans. United was no longer a modern giant. It became a rusty relic. The sacred temple became a decadent memory. Dreams gave way to nightmares. Old Trafford was no longer a home. It was a grave. And the fans knew. The smell of decadence was impossible to ignore. Each broken seat, each peeling wall. It was the reflection of the club as a whole. A glorious empire, now in ruins. Greatness was still there, but buried under abandonment. The owners didn't see history. Viam only bricks. And bricks don't make a profit. Old Trafford was left to die. Just like the club he represented. Ferguson's temple became a mausoleum. Mausoleum of a destroyed empire. The rivals laughed, the fans cried. But the decadence was real. The Dream Theater became a theater of ruins. And the ruins tell darker stories than any victory. United has always been an idol factory. Players who became gods in red. But in the age of destruction, even the gods bled. Rooney, a living legend, ended up despised. His last seasons were of attrition, not of glory. The hero turned into a shadow. Ryan Giggs, eternal symbol, saw his image ruined. Not inside the field, but outside it. Personal scandals tarnished his legacy. The glory was dragged by the mud. Cristiano Ronaldo returned as a savior. But it only found chaos. His goals weren't enough. Your leadership became a burden. Instead of lifting the club, he sank with it. He left through the back door. Another burnt idol. Another destroyed name. Even David De Gea, one of the last pillars. He was abandoned without honor, without farewell. Years of dedication, discarded like garbage. The club no longer respected his history. Not even your heroes. The shirt didn't protect. Poison ran on his hair. The curse consumed even the strongest. Idols did not retire in glory. They said goodbye in silence, in pain, in ruin. What used to be an altar became a cemetery. United's living memory was being erased. With each hero destroyed, a piece of identity was lost. United didn't form legends. He devoured them. And the echo of the past no longer supported the present. The future was not a promise. It was a threat. An endless cycle of broken greatness, where each new name was condemned, where each star was erased. The club no longer respected its idols. Neither the living nor the dead. I just used them. I just explored them. Until there was nothing left. The shirt that was one day crown, today is a sentence of destruction. And who dares to wear red? It's doomed to become dust. In modern United, idols don't shine. They are sacrificed. But those who suffer the most are not on the field. They're in the stands. The United fan is not just a spectator. He is heir to a story that was stolen. Protests exploded on the streets of Manchester. Green and gold colors, symbols of resistance. Against the owners, against greed, against destruction. But the screams were muffled by ciphers. The Glazers didn't listen. The demonstrations were historic. They invaded Old Trafford. They cancelled Premier League games. But the system was deaf. The fans shouted for salvation. They received silence as an answer. The love for the club turned into hatred. Pride in shame. With every defeat, every humiliation, the stands became more furious. The club that was born of the people now ignored the people. United was a company, and fans were just consumers. The rebellion was not only against the owners. It was against one's own destiny. A desperate cry against forgetfulness. But the forgetfulness seemed inevitable. The fans no longer celebrated victories. He celebrated resistances. I didn't applaud titles. Applaud protests. The bond between club and people was broken. Irremediably. United's soul was dead. And his soul has always been the crowd. Without her, the club was just an empty body. A heartless machine. A ghost dressed in red. The songs still echoed. But they were songs of pain. Mourning songs. United became a symbol of betrayal. A club that denied its own roots. And now he faced the wrath of his children. The rebellion didn't die. But he didn't win either. It remains lit, but helpless. Like a small flame in front of a concrete fire. The crowd fights against the darkness. But the darkness has already taken over. If you're enjoying this dark story, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more hidden truths from football's shadow side. The destruction of United is not only behind the scenes. It's on the lawns, where each defeat is displayed to the world, where every humiliation becomes eternal memory. The club that has already dominated the planet has become a laughing score. Historical rivalries turned into massacres. Liverpool, eternal enemy, applied cruel routes 5-0, 7-0. Every goal was a stab in pride. Manchester City, an uncomfortable neighbor. He became a merciless executioner. Time after time, blue crushed red. United didn't compete anymore. He was an extra. In classics, it looked small. In the end, it seemed non-existent. The spotlights now belonged to the rivals. United only offered a stage for its glories. With each defeat suffered, the legend undid. Fear turned into laughter. The club that terrorized was now a joke. Memes replaced songs. Jokes replaced respect. The humiliation was public, global, incessant. The cameras didn't just show defeats. They showed a kneeling giant. The one who reigned now crawled. The name still weighed, but only as a contrast between what it was and what it became. Each rout was more than a scoreboard. It was a sentence, the definitive proof of destruction. With each massacre, the glory became more distant. The red still filled the stands, but in the field, it was blood spilled. Rivals celebrated not only victories. They celebrated the slow death of an empire. The world watched with disbelief. How the biggest club in England became a joke. United was no longer a reference. It was an example of decadence. Each rout was a page written in its fall. Each humiliation, a chapter of its ruin. The fans didn't just cry defeats. They cried the transformation of the myth into a corpse. The field was no longer the stage of glories. It was the stage of executions. And United, the convict. No defense. No forgiveness. United was not only destroyed on the field. It was destroyed in the cold pages of the financial statements. The purchase by the Glazers did not bring wealth. I brought colossal debts. Debts that multiplied like a plague. Each year of decay was paid with interest. Each defeat was accompanied by dividends. The club became a hostage of creditors. Football money was not reinvested. It was drained. Billions came out, while the glory disappeared. The fans saw monstrous figures. But in the field, they saw ruins. The debt became an invisible prison. A golden cage that suffocated the giant. The shirt still sold. The marketing was still shining. But the safes were bottomless holes. The stadium is rotting. The cast failed. But the owner's bills were getting fat. The debt was not an accident. It was a strategy. A cruel parasitism. United was no longer a club. It was a speculative asset. A toy in the hands of greed. The fans were clamoring for investment. I received reports. He cried for reinforcements. I received loans. He cried out for dignity. I received silence. United no longer fought for titles. I struggled to breathe under debts. What used to be glory became a weight. What used to be pride turned into shame. With each swing, the rot was revealed. With each number, one more brick of destruction. The club was bleeding. But I didn't die. Because corpses can still generate profit. United became a zombie. Dead in soul, alive in bank accounts. A luxury corpse. A ghost empire. Fueled by debts. Supported by marketing. And condemned by greed. This was the new Manchester United. While United rotted, others grew. Manchester City, once a grey shadow, became a blue monster. Oil money built modern empire. New stadium, brilliant cast, clear philosophy. Every city victory was stafed in the Red Heart. The little neighbor became an executioner. The balance of the city was destroyed. The red no longer dominated. The blue reigned. On the other side, Liverpool was reborn. With Klopp, discipline and identity. He resurrected ghosts and turned them into glory. He won titles, respect and fear. United watched from afar. The throne of England no longer belonged to him. Chelsea, Arsenal, even smaller clubs, became more competitive. The red giant looked small. The legend turned into a supporting role. The world turned without him. The rivals raised trophies. United made excuses. The contrast was cruel. Where before there was supremacy, now there was inferiority. Where before there was pride, now there was shame. Rivals not only win. They rubbed the victory in the face of United. Each rival celebration was also a funeral. Red identity funeral. The world laughed. United was crying. What used to be an example became a warning. A giant can fall. An empire can rot. And when that happens, rivals don't forgive. Rivals feed themselves. Rivals celebrate. United's blood watered the others. His fall strengthened his enemies. As he sank, they ascended. The contrast was irrefutable proof. United didn't just fall. It was overtaken. Red was no longer the dominant color. It was just a stain in the past. The destruction of United is not only financial. It's not just sporty. It's identity. The club forgot who it was. United has always been a tradition. Boys from the base, offensive football, fighting spirit. Today it's just a marketing showcase. Players don't represent the city. They represent contracts. The base, formerly a barn of legends, is now supporting billionaire purchases. The spirit of Busby Babes died. Ferguson's legacy was buried. The club's DNA was corrupted. What was left was just the name. A powerful name, but empty. Young people no longer dream of being United legends. They dream of escaping the curse. The style of play has been lost. Philosophy has been extinguished. Today, United is a patchwork quilt. Each technician imposes a temporary identity. Each project lasts months. There is no continuity. There is no vision. What was tradition turned into confusion. What was pride turned into a joke. What was Manchester United became a caricature. The shield still scares, but only on paper. On the field, it doesn't impose anything. Destruction is not only visible. It's internal. It's invisible. It's spiritual. United is no longer united. It's a soulless company. It's a ghost with a shirt. It's ruin with fans. The identity died. The mourning is prolonged. And no one knows if there is a resurrection. Because it's not just about winning titles. It's about remembering who you are. And United forgot. There is no more spirit. There is no more essence. There are only debts, failures, and shadows. Destruction is not an accident. It's destiny. And United's fate is the loss of himself. The current United cast is a reflection of ruin. Famous names, but broken souls. Players who carry weight, but not identity. Rashford, son of the house, promise of pride, today is a symbol of inconsistency. Local idol, but victim of a failed system. Bruno Fernandes, technique conductor, gets lost in gestures of frustration. Captain without a boat. Leader without army. Casemiro, a warrior coming from the glory of Real Madrid, arrived thirsting for titles, but found only disorder. Your body can't stand the battle anymore. His legs carry the weight of ancient wars. And in Manchester, he fights alone. Varane, world champion, three-time European champion, was swallowed by injuries and silence. Antony, millionaire purchase, more headlines outside the field than inside. Sancho, golden promise, became missing, without space, without destination. Players get lost in chaos. Each one trying to survive on ruined soil. There is no cohesion. There is no collective spirit. Only loose pieces on a broken board. Millionaire hires don't form a team. They form a mosaic of frustrations. The talent is suffocated. The brightness is erased. The weight of the shirt is unbearable. United's gift does not inspire confidence. Inspires pity. It inspires doubt. The players know. Playing at United is not a privilege. It's a sentence. It's fighting ghosts every day. It's carrying a shield that no longer protects. The cast is a reflection of destruction. It's living proof of ruin. Every match is despair. Every season is torture. There are no heroes in this group. Only survivors. And survivors don't write history. They just resist. United has no cast. There are prisoners of a curse. United's greatest enemy today is not in the present. It's in the past. The weight of glory is unbearable. Ferguson's shadow still hangs over Old Trafford. Each technician is compared. Each player is measured by the ruler of history. And everyone fails. Because the ruler is impossible. The past is a burden, not inspiration. The gift is shame in the face of memory. Fans don't celebrate current victories. They celebrate old memories. They remember European nights. They remember epic endings. They remember idols that don't come back. But memory doesn't beat games. Memory doesn't bring titles. United lives trapped in a mirror. He looks back and looks glorious. Look forward and see ruins. The weight is unbearable. Idols of the past have seen ghosts that haunt. Cantona, Scholes, Giggs, Beckham, Neville, all symbols of an era that doesn't come back. Current players do not compete against rivals. They compete against ghosts. And they always lose. Because there is no way to repeat what was once eternal. The past has become a prison. The club became hostage to itself. Idols are remembered, but as a contrast. What has already been against what will never be. The fans don't forgive the gift. Because she lives fed by the past. United doesn't walk. Just look back. Time doesn't heal. Time condemns. Ferguson didn't just leave victories. It left a weight impossible to carry. The past is not glory. It's a sentence. United is not an heir. He's a prisoner. And the more you look back, the more you get lost in the present. But it moves away from the future. The past is the anchor. The past is the current. The past is United's real prison. The future should be hope. But at United, it's a threat. Every season is a broken promise. Every transfer window is an illusion. They talk about reconstruction, but they build on rubble. They talk about patience, but they burn technicians in months. They talk about identity, but they don't know what it means to be united. The future doesn't bring light. Brings shadow. It doesn't bring titles. It brings doubts. The club doesn't plan. Survive. Don't dream. It drags. The future in Old Trafford is not a promise. It's ruin. Fans don't expect glory. They expect less pain. They don't dream of conquests. They dream of dignity. United no longer seeks to be king. Just try not to be humiliated. This is the level of destruction. The future is not written with gold. It's written with ashes. Each decision is a repeated mistake. Every hope is a disappointment. Tomorrow doesn't bring redemption. Bring repetition. A cycle of failures, debts and shame. The club doesn't dream of going back to the top. Because you forgot what it's like to be there. The future is not redemption. It's condemnation. An eternity of shadows. A road of ruins. United walks aimlessly. No direction. No identity. Tomorrow is not a promise of rebirth. It's continuity of slow death. The red doesn't shine anymore. He bleeds. And the blood doesn't stop. This is the future of United, empty. Every empire in ruins leaves visible signs. At United, they are in every corner. Old Trafford rots in silence. The walls still display ancient glories. But inside, there are only cracks. The red uniform still shines. But your weight is curse, not pride. Millionaire hires arrive with pomp. But they leave in silence. The club's shield still sells shirts. But it doesn't scare rivals anymore. The reserve bank is always new. But always marked by defeat. The stands still sing loudly. But his screams are of pain, not of glory. Symbols of collapse multiply. Suffered defeats. Despised idols. Humiliated players. Rivals celebrating in sacred territory. The collapse is not invisible. It is exposed on the World Wide Web. Every defeat is headlines. Every failure is a spectacle. The club doesn't just fall. He falls before the eyes of the planet. Symbols of ruin are everywhere. In the ignored protests. In the corrupt balance sheets. In the broken promises. In the faces of the tired crowd. In the tears of generations that do not know glory. In the jokes of rivals. In the memories that no longer find echo in the present. Symbols of collapse mark every step. United is not a club. It's a living museum of a tragedy. Where each old trophy resembles the current failure. Where every memory is pain. Where each symbol is proof of destruction. The empire has not been erased. It was exposed in ruins. And ruins are more cruel than oblivion. Because they remember what was once. And they show what it will never be again. The collapse is visible. It's engraved in stone, in blood, in shame. United doesn't hide from the ruin. He shows her off. Like an open scar before the world. Money is the true protagonist of this tragedy. Not the money you build, but what you destroy. United was sold as a product. And a product doesn't need glory. You only need consumers. The stands have been replaced by reports. The love for dividends. The passion for contracts. Football has become propaganda. The club became a corporation. The money he could save was used to loot. Absurd salaries for ineffective players. Meaningless hiring. Business to please sponsors, not to win titles. The money fattened the wrong pockets, while drying the soul of the club. There was no lack of figures, there was a lack of vision. There was no lack of investment, there was a lack of identity. The price of money is visible. The glory was auctioned. The story was negotiated. United was no longer a soccer club, it was a marketing company. His greatest trophy was not the Champions League, it was the positive balance. The price of money is cruel. He doesn't bring happiness. He buys silence. By indifference. By destruction. United sold itself to gold, and the gold consumed it. The club paid dearly for its own funeral. With astronomical ciphers. With empty promises. The price of money is this: a destroyed empire. A betrayed crowd. An erased identity. The money didn't save United. Killed him. Red is no longer blood, it's currency. And coins don't sing hymns. They don't rise trophies. They just buy silence. The cruelest thing about United's destruction is not the fall. It's the absence. The club that the world knew no longer exists. There is only your ghost. Manchester United was a symbol of greatness. Today it is a symbol of decadence. The club that inspired fear, today inspires pity. The club that raised trophies, today raises excuses. The club that dictated eras, today says nothing. What exists on the field is not United, it's its shadow. It's your corpse. The name is still the same, but the spirit has disappeared. The shield is still the same, but his soul has been sold. The club didn't die suddenly. He died little by little. In every wrong decision. In each accumulated debt. In every betrayed idol. In each fan ignored. In every defeat suffered. United died in silence. What's left is ghost. A memory that wanders through the stadiums. A name that echoes, but doesn't mean. The club that enchanted the world no longer exists. There is only your broken reflex. United is not united. It's a company. It's a showcase. It's a zombie. The empire no longer reigns, it just pretends. The club that inspired crowds is now a global joke. What's left of the glory? Just dusty memories. Only trophies forgotten in cold windows. Only videos of old achievements. The club that no longer exists is remembered, but never revived. The destruction was complete. United died in life. And your ghost haunts Manchester forever. Manchester is a city of music, industry, and glory. But the silence of the United echoes louder. Red no longer illuminates the city, it only stains its pride. Manchester's rivals celebrate. City raises titles, while United raises excuses. The city watches the cruel contrast. The empire fell before its own shadow. It wasn't defeated by enemies. It was consumed inside. The silence in Old Trafford is deafening. Every fan's corner is a cry of pain. Every flag raised is mourning. The stadium is no longer a dream theater, it is a theater of shame. It is the scene of repeated tragedies. The city has changed, but United did not keep up. He got stuck in the past, and the past devours him. Silence is stronger than defeats. Because there is no hope, only resignation. The fan goes to the stadium out of habit, not out of faith. It's for memory, not for expectation. Manchester still breathes football, but doesn't breathe United. The club became a shadow in its own house. The city no longer reveres him, it just tolerates him. The rival took the throne, and the former king knelt down. The silence is heavy, it doesn't scream defeat, it whispers death. Manchester carries United's body, not as pride, but as a burden. The club doesn't sing anymore, it just murmurs. Silence is definitive, final sentence. This is the dark side of the destruction of Manchester United. It's not just about football, it's about the death of an identity. about the sale of a soul, about the fall of an empire. The club was not defeated on the field, it was defeated off it. He was betrayed by his owners, consumed by money, swallowed by vanity. United didn't fall silent, it fell before the eyes of the world. Each defeat was a spectacle, every humiliation, headline. The club is no longer what it was, and will never be again. Because glory is not bought, the soul is not reconstructed. United is a ghost that haunts its own fans. Ghost that wanders between memories and ruins. Ghost that remembers what no longer exists. Destruction is not an accident, it's a process. It is the work of decades of mistakes, a consequence of greed. United didn't die on the field, it died in the meeting room. He died in the financial statements, in the broken promises. The shield still exists, but it's empty. The color is still red, but it's dried blood. The singing still echoes, but it's mourning. United is no longer a club, it's a warning. It's a reminder of what happens when football surrenders to money. The empire was destroyed, and only silence rises over its ruins. The dark side of United is not a metaphor, it's reality. The club that enchanted the world died in life. And its destruction is testimony for everyone. The red doesn't shine anymore, it bleeds. And the blood doesn't stop. This is the epitaph of Manchester United. If this story moved you, leave a like to keep these legends alive. Comment your thoughts about Emiliano Sala's tragedy, and don't forget to subscribe. This is just the beginning of football's darkest secrets.